Robert Satloff?
Well, that's because there's absolutely zero evidence to suggest the Iranians are even interested in changing the way they do business vis-a-vis Hezbollah or Yemen or what's going on inside Iraq or destabilizing activities anywhere.
You got to pay attention, Rob. They've said it very openly that they want to have those conversations. Rob, the Supreme Leader said it. The Foreign Minister said it. The Supreme National Security Council said it. The Chief of Arab Affairs and the Foreign Ministry said it. Just because you don't want to hear it doesn't mean it wasn't said.
No, I'm sorry. But I look at what countries do, not just what leaders say. And the leadership of Iran is continuing to provide. Excuse me, the leadership of that's very interesting. The leadership of Iran is continuing to provide lethal weaponry around the Middle East in violation of numerous Security Council resolutions. And well, that's a very interesting comment. But the facts remain what they are.
That's the same talking point.
This is because
that's the same talking point. Give peace a chance, Rob.
Listen,
that's all I'm saying.
I think when you have no leg to stand on, it's interesting to cite these sort of talking points. The reason it's interesting for you to cite the sort of
I'm not promising anything. I'm just saying give it a chance.
It's not a question of giving a chance. I think we should have you're the one who suggested we should have an open-eyed, realistic assessment of the situation. This deal may or may not be a way to advance our national interest. It may very well be.
Yes.
We have to assess it. But one thing that we should open our eyes to is no one should be under the illusion that the assets here are going to trigger some mellowing of Iranian behavior in Syria, in Iraq, in Yemen, or elsewhere. Quite the contrary. Now, maybe it's worth it to have limitations on the Iranian nuclear program for a period of time. Maybe that's worth it. But it is certainly not an adult, mature conversation to suggest that the Iranians are going to turn into peace-loving, kumbaya-singing partners of America in trying to instill stability throughout the region.
What we're seeing over here, maybe one last comment, is that
the reality of the situation is I didn't say that. I said that Iran can go from an enemy to a competitor.
And what we're seeing now is the following, that the Americans and the entire planet are involved in an alliance fighting Daesh and the Islamic State. And it just happens that Iran and its allies are fighting the same people. Now we can go on and on repeating this boring, overdone argument about Iran being the center and the epicenter of all the evil in the world. At the end of the day, Iran is participating in this quest that the West has embarked upon and putting an end to this feudal, horrendous situation that we have in the Middle East. And Iran, far from being a factor causing instability, is today a guarantor of stability against what we're witnessing today. Had it not been for Iran, Erbil in Kurdistan would have been overwhelmed. Had it not been for Iran, Samarra would have been overwhelmed. Had it not been for Iran, Tikrit would have never been freed. So you can go on and on, finger pointing at Iran, but the facts on the ground differ. And the facts on the ground illustrate one simple fact, that the Americans and the Iranians are involved, whether they like it or not, in the same war against the same people. And as the French Prime Minister lately pointed out, this conflict of civilization in which the Western world is involved in, it's not against Iran. It's not against even the Shia faith. It's against a certain version of Islam that is Sunni and is Wahhabi. Full stop.
All right. We'll leave it there. And of course, we'll have more time to talk about it since there is not a deal at hand yet. But I want to thank our panel, Ardavan Amir Aslani,
thank you.
Reza Marashi in Vienna, who's getting set for day 22 of Hotel Food, and Robert Satloff in Washington. Thank you for joining us here in the France 24 debate.